Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. My name is Ed. I'm an artist and educator here in Venice, Florida. And today, like usual, we're going to go over a couple tips and techniques to help you along your journey of becoming a better artist. Now, today, we're going to take a look at this issue that seems to plague artists, whether you're a new artist or you've been doing this a long time. Proportion. How do you keep everything in proper size proportion is something that all artists tend to struggle with. So we're going to look at that today, and then we're going to look at how do you keep everything in the proper size proportion while drawing a portrait. So guys, it's a great lesson. I hope you stick with me. So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right. Hey guys, have you ever seen an artist drawing outside or painting, and you see them hold up their pencil and they kind of got one eye closed and they're doing this kind of a thing and on the paper, and you ever wonder what in the world are they doing? Well, what they're doing is they're trying to get their proportions correct. Now, proportions in a drawing, that's the one of the things that many artists struggle with throughout time. It doesn't matter if you're brand new to drawing or if you've been doing it a long time. Getting proper proportions is really important, and it could be a little tricky. Now, I'm going to show you a technique, a little trick to help you with that. And then we're going to look at that in regards to a portrait. Now, what they're doing with that pencil, they're actually using it as like a measuring tool. So, for example, if you're drawing a building in the distance, you say to yourself, well, how tall should that building be? You're trying to sketch it and you're not quite getting it right. How tall should this be? How wide is it? Well, what you can do is just take the tip of your pencil and then your thumb, close one eye, and you can measure how wide that building is. And then flip it this way and count how many times tall is that building compared to the width. So if I can hold out my pencil and I see that the building is actually 3 times the width, well, then I know in my drawing here, the building should be 3 times as big as the width, right? We can do that with any object that we're drawing. Another thing you can do is measure the angle with your pencil. You can use your pencil to measure those angles. So if something is leaning, if something's on a slant, just take your pencil, place it on that angle, close one eye, and find that angle, and then just carefully bring it to your paper. And that helps you see that a little bit better. Right? Just a simple, easy technique that it takes a little bit of practice, but it really helps a lot. Now, what if you get that one item, the proportions done with that building that you're drawing, but now you're drawing the building next to it, or maybe something else that's next to it. Well, now you can compare that next item with the building you drew already. So you can say, okay, well, this building is that wide, so let me compare that to another building next to it. Okay, and I see that other building is half as wide as this building. Well, then I can do that, represent that in my drawing. So if we do that with each item, our drawing will look a lot more, normal, right? It's like sometimes you can do the whole drawing perfect. You can render it and it just looks great. But if those proportions are off, it kind of sets the whole thing looking a little funny. So what I would like to do is take a look at a portrait. How do we get those proportions correct in drawing the features on a face? So I'm going to pull up a painting. We're going to take a look at it, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to kind of get everything square. So let's do that right now. Okay, guys, so one of the best ways to ensure that you're creating a great portrait drawing is simply to get all the features of your face in the right spot, okay? Honestly, to get all the features the right size and in the right location on the face is literally one of the biggest obstacles. And when we can do that, it really helps in ensuring that we have a successful drawing. Now today, keep in mind, okay, I got my buddy here to help us. Keep in mind, today we're going to take a look at a portrait in a frontal view. So that's where the person is looking directly at you. If the person's looking off to the side a little bit, that would be called a 3/4 view. And then totally to the side, this would be a profile. So we're going to look at a portrait just like so. And we're going to figure out where everything belongs in that face. Now, in the next video, we're actually going to look at how you go about drawing each feature. Now, each feature in the face is actually, it's kind of simple, but therein lies the difficulty. Sometimes it's difficult to create those features in a simple manner. And I'll show you some tips on how to do that. But for now, let's take a look at this painting. I'm going to show you this painting, and we're going to kind of pull out and see the proportions where everything belongs in that painting. All right, so let's take a look at this painting. Okay, guys, so we have a great example of a nice frontal portrait. Her head is perfectly straight ahead. And we're going to start to pull out from this portrait. We're going to figure out where all these features belong. That's probably one of the biggest obstacles that a new artist has when they draw a portrait. They don't really put everything right where it should be. Typically, the eyes are higher on the head than they should be. They're a little bit bigger. So if we can just kind of narrow down where all these features need to be, we're really going to have a great start to our portrait. So what I'm going to do is kind of just sketch out lightly here where all the features belong. And it's a good way to get started in your portrait. So when at home you're drawing a portrait, it's a good way to kind of just get started. So the first thing we'll notice is that her head is basically in the shape of an oval. So on your drawing paper, almost like a gesture drawing, we're just going to kind of lay in a rough oval. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just kind of a gesture drawing, right? I'm going to draw it a little bit darker just so you see it. Okay. The next thing you want to do is just kind of along the lines of a gesture drawing, just kind of put down exactly where the middle of your head is, right? If you don't, all the features won't necessarily line up properly. So we get a nice line down the middle. Now let's start figuring out where everything belongs. So let's take, for example, if this is the top of the head, up here, and this is the bottom of our oval, where in between there are the eyes located. Now you'll notice typically a lot of times a beginner will make the mistake of putting the eyes up too high on the head, but we'll see if we use our pencil and measure, right? We line up the tip of the pencil and we kind of where her eyes are, and then measure down this way, we'll see that the eyes are roughly speaking in the middle of the head. So on our drawing pad, we're going to make a line right in the middle. Now, if those eyes are a little bit lower or a little bit higher, it's probably because she's either looking up or looking down. So I think in this painting, she's looking down just a little bit. So if we get my buddy here and he looks down, you'll see that that eye line kind of moves down along the oval. If he's looking up, the eyes seem to rise on that oval. So if he's looking right at you, those eyes should be right in the middle of his head. Okay, what about the nose? Where does the nose belong? So if we have the top of the head, the bottom, and the eyes here, where between the eyes and the chin does that nose go? Once again, if we measure, take our pencil and measure, we'll see that that nose is roughly right in the middle between the eyes and the chin. So we'll just take our pencil. If this is the bottom, it's roughly right here, right in the middle. Okay, now what about the mouth? How low, how much lower than the nose is that? Well, once again, we can take our pencil and let's measure. Let's see. So from the tip of the nose to the mouth is this big. I can measure that. I'll see it's roughly, we got roughly 3. So it's 1/3 of the way between the nose and the chin. We can come over here and we look, it's roughly 1/3, and that's the mouth. Okay, and now we'll proceed. We'll keep going. Let's see. But how about how wide do we make these eyes? That's another really big obstacle. Usually we make the eyes so much bigger than they need to be. So let's see, and we can use our pencil again and measure. And if I measure one eye on there, I'll see that there's actually the same distance between the end of her eye and the end of her head. There's also the same distance between her 2 eyes and then the other end of the head. So what we have here is we can say there are 5 eyes distance between the 2 sides of her head. So on our drawing, if this is the ends, we're going to have to fit 5 eyes across. Well, we know that in between each eye is an eye. So we're looking at, roughly sketching one, let's see, maybe a little smaller. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have 5 eyes across. Okay, how wide do we make the nose? Well, if we look and compare the nose to something we've drawn already, we can compare them to the eyes. And we see that the nose is actually just about as wide as the eyes are. You can see that here. Okay, so now in the drawing, if this is how wide my eyes are, I know my nose should be about that wide as well. And the mouth, the same thing. Let's compare that to the eyes. Now, generally speaking, the mouth is usually to the middle of the eyes. Hers looks like it's a little bit narrower. So we can come over to our drawing. See that the mouth should be roughly this wide. Okay, now the hairline, we can measure hers. Let's see. The hairline is roughly halfway between the top of the head and the eyes. So this is about where her hairline is. Okay. Her neck is just inside here. Okay. And now the ears, it's hard to see on her. Usually if the person is looking straight at you, the ears are going to line up somewhere between the nose and the mouth and the top of the eyes. For her, she's looking, looks like she's looking down just a little bit. So you notice if our model here, if he's looking straight at you, those ears are going to line up with the mouth, right? Now, if he's looking down a little bit, now that ear is lining up with his nose. So keep that in mind when you're drawing. Okay, guys, so that's a great way to start our drawing, just kind of getting everything in the right place. Now, in my next video, we're going to look at how to actually draw each feature on the face. I'm going to give you some tips what to look for in drawing the nose, the mouth, and the eyes, and we'll take it from there. Now, guys, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, let me know. And for those of you who might be out there thinking, these paintings in the back here are just a shameless plug, trying to kind of get exposure for my art. If that's what you're thinking, you're absolutely correct. So if you like what you see in the background or want to see some of my other paintings, please just click on the link in the description. And until next time, guys, enjoy yourself. Have a great week. I'll see you next time. Bye.